What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of 31 Views. And I'm here to review Afflicted, a movie that was released in 2013, and it's a Canadian found footage movie. Oh boy, I didn't know anything about this movie. I thought, okay, I'm gonna check it out. Found footage, cool. And there's a little bit of supernatural horror going on in this. So that's all I needed to know, and I was like, okay, let me check this out. Um, I don't want to spoil anything from this movie because you gotta check this out. Okay, you gotta check it out for yourselves. I would just say, stop this video right now. Look for this movie. It's probably on Amazon or Netflix, and check it out. And I guarantee you'll enjoy it. Um, I'll try to be as vague as I can possible, but at the same time give you enough reason to check it out. This movie is directed by, and it also stars Cliff Prowse and Derek Lee. They play two best friends, which I think that they truly are. That's the reason why I feel like the chemistry was so well done in this movie, to the point where you felt like they were friends because they were actual friends. And I always enjoy movies like this where it's actually genuine. The movie that I actually reviewed earlier in this month, the houses that October built, the first one at least, where you felt the chemistry between the cast members. Same thing here. You felt it, and I really, I really enjoyed their back and forth, them, riffing on each other, having fun, and all of that, to the point where I even forgot that this was a horror movie. I was like, oh, this is cool, and then when shit started to happen, I was like, oh, holy shit. So it's when something happens to somebody in this movie, if you feel like it's going on with a friend of yours, because you spent a lot of time with these characters, even though this movie's like an hour and 25 minutes, and it goes by really fast, but at the same time, the moments where it's super serious, it kind of feels like it's a grandiose scene, rather than like a minute long scene feels like 5 minutes or something like that. But it's not in a bad way, but in like it's kind of like when you're having fun and doing a lot of shit, and you think that, oh, I probably spent hours doing this thing, but then it turns out to be like a lot shorter. It's that type of thing. And so basically the whole story centers around these two leads, these two best friends, going around the world. One of them, Derek Lee's character, who's actually, they use their actual names. Derek, he has this what you call there's this thing that's in his brain, that pretty much is, the doctor says, like, if this thing ruptures in your brain, then you're dead. Let me check this out. It's AVM. It's called AVM. I do not. Is an abnormal connection between the arteries and veins in the brain, specifically an arteriovenous malformation in the cerebrum. Okay. So it has to do with arteries and veins in the actual brain, and it kind of gets tangled. That's how they explained it, and if that ruptures, then he could be either wheelchair bound or worse. So as a last wish, Derek wants to travel the world and see all the great sights. And meanwhile, they would document the whole thing, and the way that they try to um, you know have a reason for all the cameras being around. Like it made sense. They want to document everything, and them being like film nerds. Ever since they were kids, they were total film buffs. They would make a lot of movies when they were kids, and they showed a lot of clips when they were younger. And you know Derek and Cliff's character, he had a bunch of cameras. He had one strapped to his to his vest. He had a couple that he would have on stands. It was it made sense. So shit then starts to happen, and we go from there into the horror territory. But the way that it's done, it's so interesting to the point where I feel like it's another side from the horror genre that we don't get to see. This is a very, very original story, I feel, because yes, we've seen a little bit in movies like Blair Witch Project and Chronicle, but at the same time, I feel like it did something different. It really pulled you in to this world, and fuck, like let's look at the budget. The budget for this was like $318,000, and the stuff that they do is better than most Hollywood movies. And kudos to them, because it was spectacular. It was so well done, and I would love to see a sequel to this, because the ending, especially when you see this, stay seated like during the credits. There's something that goes on during the credits that kind of implies that there's going to be a sequel, and I hope so, because I feel like there's a lot more to this world for them to to explore. So I wouldn't mind checking that out. I would absolutely see that movie once it comes out. If it comes out, I'm totally on board for that. So, and I'm totally on board with these two these two filmmakers, because they did prove that they have what it takes to carry a movie, and to let me be invested in whatever they're doing in just one movie. So whatever they do next, I'm definitely gonna check out, because right now in their IMDb page, they only have a few short movies, and I want to see more feature length movies. I want to see what they have, in the horror movie genre, because I feel like they have such a great style that I think would be a great addition to fucking Hollywood. Because right now, there's nothing pulling me into checking out horror movies. I really like this low budget feel. And you know what? I talked about The Lure. And I think that was made in like a much higher budget than this, and this was even better. The effects here were done better, even with a lower budget. So there you go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I gotta say about Afflicted. And as for the rating, I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. I would give it higher, but I feel like I feel like there are moments in this movie that kind of dragged. Fuck it, I'll give it 4.5. I think it deserves 4.5. But I do think that there are a few things that I think could have been explained better. Especially if you're gonna have like a standalone movie. If it's gonna be like a franchise, then it makes sense. But I feel like there are things that haven't really been explained, and I feel like there are parts in this movie that kind of that could have been, done better. So yeah, I'll give it 4.5 stars, which is still a great rating. So yeah, check it out if you haven't, and if you have, tell a friend. Because I really want these guys to have some sort of, they have a bigger, have more star power, to the point where they're allowed to do more movies, and other studios would check them out, because they're amazing. They were amazing in this movie, and I feel like that there's nowhere for them to go but up. So there you go. Rate, comment, favorite, help, please subscribe, and check out my next video. I'll be talking about something else.